Yeah, welcome
Hell
to
yeah.
the Tony Gomez Show. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. I've got the pleasure of interviewing my friend Matt Cantu, musician and TikTok creator. Matt, say hi to everybody.
How's it going, man? It's a huge honor to be here on the Tony Gomez Show. I've been telling everybody promoting this thing. This is literally, in my opinion, the metal equivalent of the Johnny Canales show. So this is a huge honor for me, man.
Got it, man. Oh, that's so cool, man. I appreciate that. I got much respect for Johnny Canales. What a grinder, man. He's the man. I'm telling you. I hope I can continue to stay musically involved as long as he has. Thank you. Thanks for the compliment. I got a shout out real quick. We got Cosme Williams in the chat already. And man, Cosme is my man, man. Whenever we jam at the Exchange, he takes good care of me, man. He's not only a sound man, but he's also a kick-ass freaking drummer for our guys in Texas Devil. And also for your project where you threw together the Aqua Teen Hunger Force jam, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's the one playing drums on that track, and it was cool because I came up with the arrangement because the way that I do these covers is I'll listen to the theme song in this case, right? And for those of y'all that don't know, the Aqua Teen theme song is a straight up hip hop track. It was done by an old school gangster rapper called Schoolie D. So shout out to Schoolie D for giving us that iconic theme song. And I was like, okay, this has to be a new metal track. And this actually isn't the first time that I've done it. I actually did a demo way back in like 2019. It was on my YouTube for the longest time, but I have it unlisted right now. So if you want to listen to the original version, you're going to have to hit me up for the link. But that version kind of sounded like Rage Against the Machine kind of, but I wanted it to have more oomph and I really wanted to redo it. So came up with the arrangement, got an 8-string guitar, tuned it all the way down to drop E flat, which is super low. And Abe and I, we were in the studio and it was coming together and we needed a drummer, and it was originally going to be my brother-in-law, Andy Vera. He actually drums in a band called Fallen Fears. They cover a lot of like late 90s, early 2000s rock. So stuff like Green Day, Weezer, Seether, stuff like that. If they're in your area, definitely check them out. Talented drummer. But he had some scheduling conflicts. He wasn't able to really make it in the studio or anything. So I hit up Cosme instead. And dude, he killed it on that thing, man. Like,
big time. Yeah. I love the kicks, man. Everything is just right on the money.
Yeah, it was perfect. When Abe sent me the track, he calls me up and he's like, hey dude, Cosme did the drums already, but I think you might want to hear them first before you approve them. And I'm like, well, send them to me, dude. And I was like, tell him not to change anything. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Yeah. Oh, yes. So it was, it sounds amazing, dude. I'm super in love with it, and everybody else is too.
Awesome. Well, let me also give a shout out. We got Caroline Hughes in the house. What's up, Caroline? Abe.
Yeah.
Abe house, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Abe Montoya. That's my homeboy over there at Omega Records in Kingsville, and he's the one that did the production and the recording for this entire project. So shout out to Abe, man. Shout out to Omega Records, and shout out to Caroline as well from Tennessee. She's the one that actually drew the artwork. And
oh, cool.
Yeah, she drew the artwork, and she also did my my profile picture where it's me and Brack from Space Ghost rocking out. She did that too, and she's also going to be doing the album artwork for the EP whenever it does drop. So stay tuned for that. Follow her on her socials. She goes by Aesthetic Hatter Obscuro Arto 00.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Repeat that one more time.
That's Obscuro OBSC URO _ ARTO _ 00. Caroline, you need to find an easier username, fam.
Hey, well, she's a fantastic artist, man. I love her work. That's great, man. To already have somebody involved like that that got your back. Yeah, very special, special.
All through TikTok, man. All through TikTok.
Hell yes. Well, let me get to a list of questions I got here for us today. So I want what first got you interested in music, or what influenced you to, to learn an instrument?
So my grandfather, which we briefly talked about when we were setting up, he was actually in the Army. He was a soldier. So shout out to all my veterans out there. And he actually played drums. He was a drummer in the Army, and
Wow.
yeah. And I remember growing up with my mom. I opened up this random dresser and I found a drumstick, and I was like, where did this come from? And she was like, well, that was your grandpa's and whatever. Funny story. My mom actually told me that when she was pregnant with me, it's going to sound like I'm making this up, but I kid you not, this is the truth. I'm the firstborn. So she was driving around, and I think she was going to HEB or something, if I remember correctly. And she puts the radio on, and it's a country station. And I start like kicking or whatever in the womb. And she's like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, why is he all pissed off? So she switched it to the Tejano station, and I got a little more calm, but I was still kicking and screaming. And then she switches it to the rock station, and For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica is playing.
Yeah.
And I'm calm. I'm completely calm. And my mom growing up, she was always listening to like arena rock, hair metal. So Motley Crue was one of her favorite bands. She loved Creed. She loved Journey. So I was introduced to that at like a really young age. But the main thing that really got me into music was, ironically, the Tony Hawk video games. Tony Hawk's, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. The soundtracks for those games, like a lot of my favorite bands originate from those games, like Tony Hawk's Underground, for example. My favorite Tony Hawk game, In Flames, Embody the Invisible, is in the soundtrack. SOD, Milk, is in the soundtrack. Freaking Phil Anselmo, Super Joint Ritual, they were in the soundtrack too. And that was when they were called Super Joint Ritual. That was before the name change.
Wow.
And the main thing that caught my attention as a 10-year-old kid was, in that video game, there were 3 Kiss songs in the soundtrack. It was live versions of Rock and Roll All Night, God of Thunder, and Lick It Up. Not only that, there was also a level where you're skating around in a Kiss concert in the desert. And and Gene Simmons is a playable skater too. If you beat the story mode on normal, you unlock Gene Simmons as a playable skater. So I was a kid. I was like 10. I was like, hey, Mom, who's Gene Simmons? Because I didn't know anything about Kiss. And she was like, well, Kiss was a rock band from the 70s, but I'm going to have your Tío Mundo talk to you about them. So shout out to my Tío Mundo, because he was the metalhead in the family. I'm from San Diego, Texas. So we were probably like the only metalheads in San Diego at the time. So he was like, yeah, here's Kiss. And at that time, because Underground came out in 2003, 2004. And that was around the time when Kiss was dropping Alive 4 with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. Yeah. So that was my introduction to Kiss. And in the game too, you unlock a short video of Kiss playing God of Thunder live. And I was in Catholic school at the time, so I'm watching Gene Simmons flying around, spitting up blood, doing whatever he was doing on the bass. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but this is magic, and I love it, and I want more. And a couple years later, in 7th grade, I was 12 years old, and I needed an elective because something was up with my schedule. And they were like, do you want to take a guitar class? And I was like, hell yeah, I'll take a guitar class. So that's when I started playing, and I just started falling in love with the instrument. And at that point, I had already gotten into like some heavier stuff. Like I was already getting into Ozzy and Sabbath and like a little bit of AC/DC and Metallica. And that's when I really started like going all in. Pantera was also another huge influence on me. Rest in peace, Dimebag Darrell. Arguably the greatest guitarist of all time, in my opinion. And all of that together was just kind of my upbringing, like this music that was deemed evil and satanic in Catholic school wasn't even like that scary, you know. But I do remember my uncle got me Black Sabbath, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll on CD, and I popped it in. Black Sabbath starts playing, and I remember literally getting scared by it, but in a good way. Yeah, that was a life-changing experience for me.
That's awesome, man. That's and I love every track on that's the greatest hits right there. We Sold Our Soul for, man. That's a crusher, man. No one, it's definitely a game changer right there. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned earlier you played an 8-string to do the Aqua Teen Hunger Force jam. What other instruments do you play?
I also play a little bit of bass. Currently cool. I do not have a bass guitar. I used to have one. I sold it back in 2019. I needed a little extra cash, and I just haven't gotten around to getting one yet. But I do play bass. I do not play drums, unfortunately. So my grandpa's probably rolling in his grave right now. But I also play ukulele just because it was another stringed instrument that I could, mess around with. And it was, I did it more as like a joke than anything. I would do like some ukulele covers here and there, just to bump content out. And people actually dug them. And I actually did a show in Alice about a month ago, and I brought the ukulele out of retirement. I don't have it next to me, but I got 2 of them. I have a Luna, which is a normal looking ukulele, but I also have a Dean ukulele ML. So it's literally a ukulele version of Dime's guitar, and playing Cowboys from Hell on that thing tuned up is so funny.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude! I gotta see that. Hell yeah!
Yeah, I have a video of it somewhere on my feed. I'll send it to you after this because it's hilarious.
Yes, I'd love to see that. Jason mentioned in the chat room. Well, first let me shout out to Caroline. She said she also did the painting behind you. Is that right?
Yeah, it's right. Cool. It's back there. That's Brack from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So another fun fact about me is I know I don't look it, but I actually really like black metal, like quite a bit. It's like a guilty pleasure. And we were joking around, and she's like really involved in the Adult Swim and Space Ghost fandom. And she saw that somebody had done this thing called, it was called Brack metal. And it was Brack from Space Ghost, but like in corpse paint. So she took that idea and she ran with it, and that was a birthday present to me. So it's so cool. It's a little far away, you can't see it, but it looks badass, man. And then my wife Claire, she actually crocheted the heartogram from him. So that's crocheted tapestry over there. And over here in the corner, that's actually the Concrete Street poster from the Judas Priest show from a couple months ago. It was Judas Priest and Queensryche. Somebody dropped it on the floor in front of me, and I took that shit and ran.
Hell yeah, man. I always try and get those posters. I love that. Hell yes.
Yeah,
and,
dude.
Let me give Jason a shout out. He said so many great memories, playing those games. And I couldn't say it any better. When in my age, it was starting out when Super Mario Brothers first hit the market. And that was what we played religiously, trying shit. And man, it was a great times. And I remember the guys I hung out with back then, Ralph and a couple other guys, Mark McCrory. And the introduction of Guitar Hero to my son is what got him into rock. About when it comes to Tony Hawk and the introduction of music through video games, and that changed a lot of people. That introduced so many people to heavy metal and rock.
like myself included. If it wasn't for the Tony Hawk games, I probably wouldn't be here, to tell you the truth, because when I first played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the first one, it had like Primus and Goldfinger in the soundtrack and Suicidal Tendencies. So I was jamming out to those guys at like a really young age, and I had no idea what I was doing. And Pro Skater 2, we had Power Man 5000, we had Papa Roach.
Yeah.
We had Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
So like I said, like that music was introduced to me through those video games, and it was literally a life-changing experience. And at the time, no video game in 1999 was doing licensed music for the soundtracks. Tony Hawk was literally the first game that started to do it, because what Tony wanted to do was he wanted the game to be as authentic to skateboarding as possible. Because at the time of the game's release, a lot of skateboarding games that were out there, they weren't really skateboarding centric. It was like, okay, you're on a skateboard, but it's a racing game. But no, he wanted to make a skating game. And his goal was, I want skateboarders to go out and buy a PlayStation to play this thing. And not only did that happen, but everybody, including non-skaters, started buying that video game. So with those games, it was either you became a pro skater or you became a musician. And with Guitar Hero, like legit, I could be wrong. I got to check my facts on this one, but I want to say that Guitar Center's numbers immediately skyrocketed once that game dropped, because everybody was buying guitars. Everybody wanted to learn how to play the real thing.
Everybody got fired up. Exactly. It's like, okay, I skated. Now I'm ready for the next thing, man. I'm ready to fucking rock too.
Yeah.
Man, well, let me ask you, have you already been in a band? Was there a first band for you?
Yeah, actually, my very first band ever. It's kind of a silly name, but it was cool at the time. We were called Sorrow's End, and it was me. It was my buddy Javier Maldonado on drums. So he was literally the Lars to my James. You know what I mean? Like, I was always going to his house after school during the summer. We would just be like jamming, playing Metallica covers, Slayer covers. We did a lot of Disturbed, new metal stuff, you know. And we had a couple of different members and stuff. Like, we interchanged over the years, and it was one of those things where it's like we had the same members, but like we had different bands for different genres that we were doing. So like it was always me and him, but then we would have we had a guy named Andres Chapa from Freer who was lead guitar, and we pretty much became a straight up death metal band. And then after that, we would bring in she's actually my cousin, Amber Gonzalez, also from San Diego. She sang with us for a little bit, and we pretty much became like an indie, like pop punk kind of thing, which was really fun. I love that music, but Jay and I wanted to shred, you know, so that didn't last like very long. But yeah, it was just a bunch of different projects here and there, but Sorrow's End was always like our baby. That was the main thing. And I can't really speak on Jay's behalf, but I think the name was kind of cool in retrospect, because like we never made it out of the garage, but if we would have gotten to the point where we go to the studio and we start recording, we wanted our music to be the end of somebody's sorrow. Because when I was growing up and I heard Linkin Park and Korn for the first time, like a lot of those lyrics for the first time actually resonated with me, which is why I love new metal so much. Some people don't like it because it could be seen as kind of whiny and kind of frat boyish, and I totally get it because, you know, it kind of is.
Other side too.
Yeah, it kind of is, but I related to a lot of that because growing up, I was the weird kid. I was bullied. I was bullied because of the music that I liked. I was bullied because of the cartoons and video games and stuff that I was into. It was just always, I was always getting picked on for like whatever reason, appearance, you name it. So when I heard like Jonathan Davis at the end of the first Korn record, literally just wailing, I was like, oh my God, like maybe it is okay for men to cry and show feelings and, you know, all that stuff, which is why like I'm a huge advocate for mental health and stuff like that now too. That's why new metal really like resonates with me, is because for the first time in heavy music, in rock and roll, in metal, I was able to relate to the lyrics. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I love Pantera, I love Metallica, I love Megadeth, I fucking love Slayer so much. Like when y'all did those Slayer covers at the show at the Exchange, I had to jump up in the front, man, because Slayer is another one of my favorite bands, but I couldn't relate to the lyrics because I couldn't relate to lyrics about the Holocaust. You know, like I just couldn't. It sounded great. It was amazing for, you know, thrash metal and everything, but I didn't have that like connection that I did with Korn personally.
Yeah, hell yeah, and that's strong. You know, I love so much music, just like you do. You know what I mean? And for each one of the bands, I draw something from it, and that's what makes that one band special to me. Whether it could be just the jams, it could actually just be a member of the band that I just think really kicks ass and stands above everybody else. And in those cases, it's usually like the drummer. Yeah, because I'm originally a drummer at heart, but I know exactly your point, man. I know exactly what you mean. And you know, one band that I kind of go to that's kind of Cornish in a way, but they're called Life of Agony, and they're definitely, you know.
That sounds familiar. I think I might have heard them before.
Their singer is just put out some real emotional kind of Korn style lyrics with just some heavy New York style hardcore music behind it.
Oh, and I love that stuff, man.
I love with that. It was so cool. And they've got a great history. They're still coming around. You know, they're another one of the bands that have come back after 20 years to, you know, redo a couple of their reunion albums and celebrate that. And so just want to give a shout out to that. And I know I definitely get your grift right there. And you know, a lot of great music was exploding that time. And new metal was really the cream of the crop right then, versus grunge on the other spectrum.
Oh yeah.
You know, everything kind of runs its course, and I'm glad that now here we are in 2023, and a lot of those bands are now headlining a lot of the festivals that are out. You know, Godsmack, Limp Bizkit, you name it, they're out there. And if Chester was alive, rest his soul, rest in peace, Chester. I know Linkin Park would be fucking headlining all those shows.
Oh too. Yeah, for sure. Like when I first found out about Chester's passing, like I'm not afraid to admit this, man. I cried for a good like 2 weeks straight. I couldn't listen. Yeah, I couldn't listen to the first two records after a while because, you know, Chester was one of my biggest inspirations. Yeah. And like the fans were always saying, like, you know, he saved millions of lives through his music, and we couldn't save this one guy. Yeah. And that's actually why I work that's one of the reasons why I work at a psych hospital right now, is because, you know, that particular death really took a toll on me. And yeah, people might think it's kind of weird, like, oh, like he was a singer in a band, like why do you care about him so much? And it's like, well, you don't understand, you know, when you're a kid and you're introduced to this stuff, like you kind of create these parasocial relationships with these musicians, especially if you're a musician yourself. Like, you know, when Dime passed, for example, that was another one that like really, it was a huge kick in the nuts for everybody because he was so iconic, so influential, so down to earth. He loved to party. He was funny, and he didn't deserve to go out like that, you know?
No way.
And even before that, with like, you know, Kurt Cobain, Selena, Jimi Hendrix, like, you know, the list goes on, you know, like the entire like 27 Club thing. There's reasons why like Selena's music is still being blasted to this day. There's a reason why Pantera's music is still being blasted today. And Linkin Park's music is going to be the same way. Like Hybrid Theory, my favorite record of all time, arguably one of my favorite records of all time. Like I just have so much respect for those guys. And even with Brad Delson too, the guitar player, like, I'm one of the first ones that'll admit it. And my boy Jason from California is in the chat too, and he'll admit it also. Brad Delson is an amazing guitarist. Like, I know he gets a lot of crap in the guitar community because Linkin Park is just a bunch of power chords or whatever, but like really sit down and try to learn One Step Closer. Like it's easy. It is an easy song. It's not difficult by any means, but it's one of those riffs that's done by feel. There's an artificial harmonic in it, and you're the one that kind of starts the song off. So everybody else is kind of following you. You know, it's one of those things. And the way that it's structured, you really got to practice it in order to get it right.
That's one song I've always wanted to do in one of my bands, because I like their emotion. I just think it's just a great fucking rock song, man.
Yeah.
Screams, you know, the screams that Chester does right there, you know.
Yeah, the shut up when I'm talking to you.
Oh man, it's like yeah, I love it, man. So, you know, let me ask you this question. What was your first concert?
My first concert, believe it or not, I was in high school. I was a sophomore in high school. It was the Monster. It was here in Corpus, actually. I was still living in San Diego, but it was here in Corpus at the Concrete Street Amphitheater, main stage. It was the Monster Energy Music as a Weapon 5. In This Moment was opening. It was Seven Dust. It was Disturbed, and it was Korn headlining. So, you know, Korn being my favorite band of all time, it was literally like a rite of passage. I was waiting for the bell to ring at the end of the day, took off my blue polo t-shirt. I was rocking my Korn established 1993 shirt. Like I was ready for this show, man. And I was super hyped for it. My mom dropped me off at the show. She was like, I'll see you in about an hour or two. I'm going to go eat at Brewster's. I was like, all right, that's fine. I'm going to meet up with my boys. And I did. And it was crazy because In This Moment is so huge right now. Like they're one of the biggest like alternative metal bands out there right now. And when I first saw them, like there were no theatrics, there were no costume changes. It's was like
the production.
There was no production whatsoever. And everybody in the audience at that time, like we were all in line. Everybody was like, hey, do y'all know who In This Moment is? No, I don't think so. No, I've never heard of these guys. They're like, well, let's check them out, right? So the guys from C101 were there. I think Rex might have been there. I could be wrong, but I think Rex was there. And he was like, all right, I'm gonna introduce y'all to In This Moment. And they started playing, and everybody was like, oh shit, these cats are badass. And then at the end, they come back, like C101 guys come back, and they're like, okay, I guess y'all know who In This Moment is now, right? Because I think they heard everybody asking, like, who the fuck is this band? Yeah. That was also the first time that I tried Monster Energy ever. Because they were handing out free Monster in the crowd. So they were like, free Monster, here you go, kid. And it was like literally 2 of these. And I drank it for the first time. And dude, by the time Korn came on, I was already like bouncing off the walls. I was gonna be bouncing off the walls in general because they're my favorite group, but like it was even more so because I was heavily caffeinated at like 16 years old.
Love the Monster, man. I did the green one for I don't know how many years when I was working over at Gaddytown just to get through my 10-hour shifts. And then I graduated to I figured, you know what, I'm consuming so much of this, I need to go to a smaller can. And so that's why I switched to Red Bull. And then I went to a sugar-free Red Bull. And now I'm just back to I like the Nas. I like the Nas. What do you think of Nas?
Oh yeah, I love Nas. Whenever I was a dialysis technician, I was literally living off of those. I would go in at like 5 a.m. Sometimes I wouldn't get out till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So I was literally like, I would drink 1 a.m, like, all right, let's go. You know, like let's get this day started.
Right. Well, let's get to talking about some of the music that I've already been able to get my hands on through your Spotify release. And you know, I noticed that you dropped your first track, and it was back on December 31st of 2017. Yep. And that one's called Che. Yeah. And it's the guitar acoustic, a great arrangement. And you know, I want you to tell me about this one.
Yeah. So whenever that was 2017, I was in college at the time. I think I might have been in my second year of college. I was working on my associate's degree. But music has always been my passion. And I lost my grandfather at a young age. I was 6 years old. It was 2001. December of 2001, December 10th. I remember that day vividly. It was a few months after 9/11. I was still trying to figure out like why there was evil people in the world. And then my grandpa dies all of a sudden from a heart attack out of the blue. And I was like, okay, what is going on here? I remember when I found out the news, I came home, and this is a true story. I came home the night before. I had a little action figure of Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, and he was really good at drawing. And I had asked him like, hey, could you draw Frieza for me? I'll give you the figure. It's going to be there on your desk. And he's like, yeah, I got you. Well, I come home, he's nowhere to be found. And my mom tells me, well, grandpa's in heaven, whatever. And I look to the desk, and Frieza is standing there with a blank piece of paper and a pencil, exactly the same way that I left it. So that really scarred me. But when I became a musician, the guy's always in my head. I'm never gonna forget about that guy. When I became a musician, I was like, I really need to write a song about this guy, or write something dedicated to him, because he meant a lot to me growing up. And I was finally able to do that. So I picked up a guitarlele that year. And if you don't know what that is, it's a ukulele sized classical guitar. And
Cool.
it's tuned up. It's tuned to A. So if you have a regular guitar, you put a capo on the 5th fret, you'll be in the key of a guitarlele. And I was just messing around with like the top strings, because I've always been more of a rhythm guy. I'm not much of a lead player, which explains the nu metal influence, because there's no solos. But I was messing around with the low strings, and I came up with this pretty little arrangement. And I remember showing it to my mom, and I was like, hey, what do you think of this? And she's like, that's pretty. Did you make that up? And I was like, yeah, I did. Cause my mom doesn't like the heavy stuff that I do. She's more toward like the softer side of me. Like if I was doing Tejano or country, it probably would have been a different story, but she didn't like the goblin noises and stuff that that I was doing. So so I came up with that arrangement, and she was like, yeah, that sounds really good. What are you going to call it? I was like, I think the name is Che, because Che was my grandpa's nickname. She was like, yeah. She was like, oh, you're going to name it after your grandfather. And I was like, yeah, I think so. And I think it took me about 8 hours total to write that entire track. And it's technically a demo. I recorded the whole thing in GarageBand through an iPhone headphone microphone. And and it's funny because like people, it's funny because people listen to the song and they're like, what did you do for that rain effect? Like, did you sample a rainstorm or something? And I'm like, no, that's literally the microphone sliding off my shorts, when I'm recording it, and I picked it up and I left it in the recording. So if you listen really close, you could hear it. I pick it up.
Interesting. All right.
But yeah, so it was the first thing that I ever put out into the world, and for being still like a relatively unknown artist, like it got, I think, 200 or 300 plays in its first week. And that's because I had zero promotion. And I had showed it to my mom, and she loved it. And I was like, I want to put this out there. So I found out about DistroKid, and that's what I use for my music. You just pay $20 a year, and you could upload as much music as you want. You could be like Buckethead and drop 20 albums in a day. And they're not going to charge you any more or any less.
Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. Everybody out there, try DistroKid. That's the way to go.
Yeah. And hit me up for the link if you want a discount. That way I could get some kickback. Hashtag not sponsored.
Okay. Kick ass. All right. And I think we had Daniel my engineer, Daniel Dama, setting things up today. As you see his logo down there in the corner, Daniel Dama Productions. I think maybe he was trying to play a little Che while we were talking. And I just want to let Daniel know I couldn't hear it if it was playing. All right. So if you want to try something on one of the next tracks, Dan, go for it. So let's get to the next one. Your next release came out like 3 months later, and it was another instrumental, but it was edgier. Came out with the distortion coming out with the track called Nemo was the Son of Satan.
Nemo was the Son of Satan. Yeah. So that one, the name of that is extreme. It's extremely satire.
Yeah.
The name is extremely satire. So the name actually came before the track did. And at the time I was into like a lot of like cartoon conspiracy theory type of deals. And there were a lot of conspiracies with like Disney movies, like they had subliminal messages and this, that, and the other. And I was like watching them and I was like, man, these are stupid. Like someone's going to come out saying that Nemo is like Satan's kid or something. And then I was like, wait a minute. Nemo was the son of Satan. That's a bitchin' song title. Yeah. So I wrote it down and then I started coming up with this metalcore track and I was like, hey, you know what? This is kind of rad. Like I think that's the name. Yeah. And it's not a bad song, but if I could redo it, I honestly would, because the drums were automated. They were completely randomized from GarageBand. So the song is very messy. Like it's not perfect, but that's kind of the beauty of it, because that's where I started. That's the only reason why I don't remove any of these songs, is because I want people to know that, you know, you don't need to have amazing production to write like great stuff. I mean, look at And Justice for All, for example. one of the greatest thrash albums of all time. The mix is god awful, and I don't care what anybody tells me. I know I'm gonna get shit for this, but the guitar tone is absolutely ass on that album.
Yes, like they should have brought back that Ride the Lightning tone or something, you know?
Yeah. And then when the Black Album came out, it fixed like a lot of those problems. But like, dude, Jason really needed to be heard, man, because those bass tracks are god tier. Like they're so good. But the songwriting is great. So and I just wanted to put some stuff out, you know, like I put it out and people still dug it. Which I'm grateful for. But it was funny too, because all the Chef fans, they heard Nemo and they were like, whoa, what is this? Like,
I talk about 9 days.
Yeah. And I was like, surprise, you know, and that's what I like to do, because I don't like to, like, with the type of content that I do on TikTok and like the music that I love, I don't want to just, you know, put myself into a bubble. I don't want to be doing like one thing over and over again. And a lot of bands can do that. And a lot of bands do that really well. Like Slayer, pretty consistent. Cannibal Corpse, very consistent. Lamb of God, same thing. All three favorite bands of mine. And you don't have to worry about them like all of a sudden coming out with like a hip hop track, because it's just not going to happen. When Lamb of God drops a new album, you're going to know it's Lamb of God. But like with me, you know, I like to push the envelope a little bit, you know. Like I'll do an acoustic track, and then I'll do a metalcore track, and then I'll do a comedy track out of the blue, and then, you know, I'll hit you with like a hip hop instrumental, you know, just because I like my music to appeal to everybody, because that's how I was. I grew up listening to like Los Palominos and Selena and George Strait because of my dad. And then I got into heavy metal, which is what I still love. I'm a metalhead through and through. But I like listening to other things. And that's the, you know, that's the beauty of it. Like I could jam, like literally I could jam a Sinatra record and immediately put on Cannibal Corpse right after. And like nothing will change. Like if I love the music and I vibe with it, I don't really care about like what genre it is. If I dig it and I think it's dope, I just put it on.
Feels good. Fucking good. Yeah. Well, I tell you what. So the next month, right after that, you just kept you got in a roll right there, because next month you dropped Buffalo Sauce, and you dropped it's a rockin' fun little jam right there.
That song.
Buffalo Sauce.
That song is non-canon. I keep telling everybody. So here's the honest to God answer as to why that song even exists, right?
Okay.
So, I'm not much of a vocalist. I never have been. I've always been a guitar player. So I always had a feeling that if I were to come out with a project of my own, I would kind of have to pull a Santana. Like I would have to have guest artists featuring on the various tracks or whatever, right? That's what I was thinking in my head, but I didn't have money because I was starting out.
Yeah.
But Che came out. It did really well. Nemo came out. It didn't do as well as Che, but it still did really good.
Yeah.
In terms of numbers and reception, which I was grateful for. But the main criticism that I got from both songs, I was constantly getting DMs. People in person were asking me. People in the comment section were asking me, and they were like, "Where's the lyrics? Like, why are there no words? Where's the lyrics? This, that, and the other." And I'm like, "There's no lyrics because there's not supposed to be. I didn't write lyrics. I'm not a singer, y'all." And I kept on getting message after message, and I was getting pissed. So I was like, okay, they want a song with lyrics. I'll give them a fucking song with lyrics. So I went into my studio, which was my grandma's like spare bedroom at the time. You know, I went in there, I brought my 7-string out, and I had it tuned to drop A. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to come up with something stupid. So I came out with like the chord progression, and I was like, okay, that works. So I did it. I looped it, played it again. And then I switched the chords around a little bit to create a chorus. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. It sounds cookie cutter. It sounds generic. Perfect. Yeah. Now I need lyrics. And originally the lyrics weren't even supposed to be about buffalo sauce. I think I was writing it about Mountain Dew or something. It was still a comedy track, and I just came out with the buffalo sauce thing. And it's a song about, you know, going to a restaurant, you ask for the chicken strips or whatever, and they forget your sauce and you're pissed off about it.
I've been there.
Yeah. So yeah. And I put it out. I put it out on my Facebook actually for free. And I was like, here you go. This is why I don't write songs with lyrics, because it comes out this terribly. And man, the reception for that song was better than Nemo. And I was like, are you serious? Like, you guys like this crap? And they were like, please put it on Spotify, bro. Like, it's so good. And I was like, okay. So I caved in. I gave the people what they wanted. So
hell yes.
That single actually has 2 different versions. There's the rock version, and then there's the acoustic version. The acoustic version I had a little more fun with, because it was supposed to sound like Alice in Chains meets Bob Dylan meets like George Strait, you know, like it was just like I think I was singing with like a southern drawl too, like give me some buffalo sauce and this, that, and the other.
Right there.
Yeah. So there's buffalo sauce.
There it is. Yeah.
That
I like what you did with the logo, dude. That's tight.
Yeah, and that cover was actually done by Brian Bradley. He used to sing in a band called Rival Maid way back in the day. And now he does like photography and stuff in Dallas. And he actually did that artwork for free for me, just because I needed to put something out. But yeah, this track it's a mess. Like the guitar tone is just as bad as And Justice for All, maybe even worse. And it's just all over the place, man. I hate listening to it low key, but if I could delete any of my songs from my various platforms, it would probably be that one. But I don't delete it because people still jam it. People still love it. And you know, Brack over here was, you know, one of my inspirations growing up, and Brack always sang like weird songs about beans and whatnot. And I was a huge Weird Al fan growing up too. I love Psycho Stick also, which is like the metal equivalent of Weird Al. So that's literally what I was channeling. I was channeling my inner Brack / Psycho Stick / Weird Al. So people dig it, and I'm grateful for it.
Hell yeah. You've got some good supporters out here. Jason really loves buffalo sauce, and Caroline's down with it. And Abe says your vocals just keep getting better. So keep getting better. I thought they sounded great on the latest track. But play a little bit of this next one, Dan, and it's a matter of fact, it's going to be the one. We'll play a little bit of this next one. It's Ocean Drive. Ocean Drive is what you hit us with next. And I thought it was a really cool instrumental, perfect for when you're cruising down Ocean Drive.
Yeah, that's why I called it that. And so the funny thing with Ocean Drive was, again, all made in GarageBand, like no production, nothing
Very
like
cool.
that. But the strings that you hear, that's actually my ukulele. I just kicked it with a bunch of reverb and I EQ'd it in this weird way to where it sounds very thin, like paper thin almost, but it sounded great with everything else that I was doing. And I originally wanted to call it Vice City after Grand Theft Auto Vice City because it kind of has like an 80s vibe to it, like a vaporwave kind of deal going on.
Sure.
And I could just picture it like being blasted at the Sunrise Mall, you know what I mean? So and even like with the artwork and stuff too, like, you know, there was definitely that like 80s like cyberpunk kind of thing going on.
Yeah, a little cyberpunk, little Miami style there with
the and the reason why I didn't call it Vice City was because XXX Tentacion, which was one of my favorite modern rappers at the time, he actually had a song called Vice City. So I didn't want to, like, you know, confuse the two tracks or whatever. So I just called it Ocean Drive because, like you said, you could literally jam it cruising down Ocean. And I've done that before. I've actually done that before. And it's a vibe, dude. Especially if you're cruising like around this time, like sunset. It's a sick song, dude.
That's my favorite time, man. To be outdoors is at sunset. And I'm going to give this jam a try next time I'm out there, you know, down Ocean Drive.
Ocean Drive is low-key my favorite Matt Cantu track. Yo, shout out Jason Vilches, bro.
Badass, dude.
This song is very underrated, dude. Like, it didn't get a lot of plays. I didn't really promote it very well, so that was kind of my fault. But I think the song needs more love, dude, because it's super good. In terms of my earlier stuff, like this one and Che is they're probably the best.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, the next one I really like, and it brings a smile to my face. And Dan, play a little bit of this next one. It's called Reign of Darkness. And it brings a smile to my face, man, because it's evil. Your lyrics are evil.
Yeah.
Of them, but it's almost like I could picture the devil from South Park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's actually a Thy Art Is Murder cover. Yeah, it's Reign of Darkness by Thy Art Is Murder. There it is right there. Yeah.
No wonder the lyrics are so well done. Because wow, dude, that's very done. And I like the you know, the melody on the vocals. I'm like, man, this is just repeating one more time before I really stopped to think how many times I heard it, because it, you know, repeat it just sounds so smooth and it was so easy to but your voice sounded good there, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, so the funny thing with this one too was there's a guy on YouTube named he goes by D at C, and he does a lot of covers like this. Like, he covers acoustic versions of like Bring Me the Horizon, Thy Art Is Murder, etc.
Okay.
And he actually did this rendition of like the guitar and everything, and I had covered it myself. And at the time, his version of the song wasn't on streaming services, and people liked my little version of it too. And so I put it out there. And then I think like a year later, he actually put out his version. But both of them are pretty good. His is obviously better because it has better production and like a better vocal performance and all that jazz. But people still listen to this version too, and it's very DIY and it's done on nylon. So it's really great.
I'm very impressed. That's one of my favorites right there, man. From your early work, I really liked. Let me bring it back here. I like the groove for Buffalo Sauce. You know, I'm a rock. And of course, Nemo, Son of Satan. I love the jams, but I love the lyrics too. You know, so I definitely would love to hear something like that with some lyrics put to it. But I know where I'm coming from. It's like, hey, it wasn't meant to have lyrics. All right. It's by itself. Yeah. And that one right there, it's, you know, it came as a surprise to me. I wasn't familiar with that track from Thy Art Is Murder. And what a great fucking rendition, dude.
Yeah. It's so like night and day, man. It's funny. And people have been using the sound on TikTok and everything. And I had no idea because I just kind of put it out. And I was like, all right, like this is mostly just for me and like nobody else. and it took a while for it to get traction. I think like
2
or 3 years later, that's when I started seeing that the plays were coming in, and I was like, oh shit, people really love this version. And on TikTok, people were like using the sound and everything, and they were painting these like cute little like Baphomet looking things, like Lisa Frank looking Baphomets, and I was like, hey, let's go, dude, like that's sick. Yeah.
Hey man, exactly, they connected with that.
Yeah.
And then we went to your next track, State of the Union, man. I like that. It was a political jam.
Oh yeah.
And that came out in 2021. And I really liked the line that really sticks out to me in regards of it being a political jam is, and where the fuck is God?
Yeah.
Because it's huge. Everything you're saying in there, there's a lot to be said, but that right there just seems like, oh, you know what I mean? Because, you know, you referred earlier, you know, hey, I was raised a Christian. So was I. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, whenever we have I love pentagrams and shit like that, and I love Slayer, but I'm a Christian, and God is my Lord. Lord God is Lord Jesus is my Savior. And
me too.
I hope to be able to go to heaven, and I hope to do enough good deeds to go see those pearly gates.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I want to see my grandpa again. You know what I mean? And he was a diehard devoted Catholic, so he'd probably like beat my ass with all the imagery and stuff that I have. But I like it because I don't do it to worship Satan or anything like that. Like I'm not doing it for like the entity or whatever. I'm doing it for the shock value. Like the same reason why Slayer did their thing back in the day is the same reason why I use it. Like one of my earliest logos, I called it the Matagram, and it's literally like a pentagram, but it has the letter M in it. And it's like real cool looking. And I remember people were afraid of it. They were like, oh, what are you doing, bro? Like this ain't you. And I'm like, yo, but it's cool looking though. Like I could see it on his shirt. Like it's so sick.
The design, you know?
And that's like, you know, the black metal influence and stuff, like I mentioned before. I mean, when I was in college, I did literally a 20-page paper on Mayhem and like the history behind Lords of Chaos. And dude, I got a 99.
Very fucking cool. I mean, that's right there.
The only reason why I got the 99 was because I had a comma in the wrong place. That's the only reason why my professor gave me the 99.
Perfection.
But going back to State of the Union though, that one was a fun one because my buddy Tony Lee, he actually plays drums in the band Rock and Riot from Alice.
Okay.
He plays drums and bass on that song, and it was a political song. It's probably like my only political song so far. And the lyrics are there is some truth to them. Don't get me wrong, but they're also tongue in cheek. Also, like like I say some shit like push a cop to the floor. Like you don't want to push a cop, bro. Like you're gonna get your ass beat. But because the inspiration for that track was I was listening to a lot of SOD at the time. I was jamming. Was it Speak English or Die? Another one of my favorite records. Like I love SOD. And for those of y'all that don't know, like SOD is literally Anthrax minus Joey Belladonna. Like, that's it.
In the early Anthrax years, they were just speed and double bass and, you know, ferocity left and right. Oh, I love that cover right there. With
Sergeant D.
Yes, I'm a personal friend of Billy Milano, and been to his crib up in Austin, and he actually was enjoyed my band Killamora when I played at his bar Headhunters.
Nice.
And to be able to get him on the show as an interview as well, but man, he's busy. He's a hustler.
Oh yeah, and, definitely.
One of my favorite memories is being able to go to his house. He invited us back to his apartment to do an interview for his website, and I saw that Speak English or Die platinum record or gold record up on the wall, but it's probably platinum. I'll buy a few more copies if that's what it takes to flip it to platinum.
Yeah, I know.
Saw that up on the wall. I was like, yes, man, that's my man. And he's just an incredible fucking rocker. And what he did with MOD is just fucking.
Oh, yeah.
And so SOD is a game changer. We don't appreciate it. And no wonder you know, you had that inspiration coming off to do State of the Union after you know, jamming so much of that.
Yeah, I was jamming a lot of that, and I was listening to a lot of other punk rock in general. Like, I got like really into Black Flag again. I love Bad Brains, one of my favorite groups of all time. And I want to say around that time, that was when Lamb of God had dropped Legion 20 under their original name, which was Burn the Priest. And it was a covers album because, for those that don't know, Randy Bly, the vocalist for Lamb of God, he's not a metalhead. He grew up in the hardcore scene, so a lot of his favorite bands are stuff like you know, Bad Brains, Black Flag. He's a huge punk rocker. And in a way, after watching all the interviews and stuff, Randy actually got me into a lot of those groups too, because I was like, okay, he's covering The Accused, so I might as well check out The Accused. And God, ass kicking from hell, dude.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Yeah. And then
book, I've had the singer from The Accused on my show.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, dude, that's sick.
He's awesome, man. And give me some more. What else did you see?
I did see. There was also
they did Cro-Mags, right?
Yeah, they did Cro-Mags. They did Big Black. They did Bad Brains, obviously.
Is Black the one they did Gasoline?
Kerosene. Yeah.
That, you know, I never knew who Big Black was, so that's the one that made me interested in them. Was here because that's a standout track. It's not like the other ones, you know. It's got a different kind of a new metal kind of a grunge.
Yeah, it's very funky. And because Randy had said that he wanted inspiration from like everybody in the group, like not just him. And I think the SOD track that might have been I think it might have been like a Chris Adler pick at the time. If I remember correctly. Yeah, because
was it from SOD? Was it Kill Yourself?
Yeah, it was Kill Yourself.
Kill yourself. Why don't you kill yourself?
You know, another one is their version of from Agnostic Front. Was it One Voice?
Oh yes, I think so. I want to say it was. Yeah, that whole project was.
Yeah, the whole thing
was so good. Awesome. Yeah, it literally gave me Garage Inc. vibes, you know.
Yeah,
and one of my favorite covers albums is actually Slayer's Undisputed Attitude.
Me too.
I really love that project, and which is also why like I'm doing this Adult Swim EP thing right now. I'm going to be coming out with an EP of Adult Swim covers. It's going to be called After Hours. And obviously Aqua Teen is going to be on it. We're also going to be doing C-Lab 2021. We just finished recording it recently. And I think Abe said that he's in the process of mixing it already. And once I'm done with the initial promo for Aqua Teen, I'm going to go back to the studio, back to Omega Records. And we're going to be recording the Brack Show theme song pretty soon. And we're also gonna be doing the Boondocks, and we're gonna be doing Space Ghost Coast to Coast also. Yeah, and I already have like the arrangement for like the Brack Show theme in my head, because when I do these covers, like I said, I always try to think like, okay, how can I turn this into like a metal track? Yeah. And after listening to the Brack Show theme song over and over again, it kind of sounds like kind of like the Golden Girls type. It has like an old school like sitcom-y kind of vibe. Yeah. And I'm gonna metalcore that song because it sounds like the way the medley goes. I could easily picture that being in the same vein as say like Killswitch Engage, Trivium, etc. And no Jason, no Metalocalypse right now, but in the second EP, if this does well and there's a demand for a part 2, then I will do the Death theme, because shout out to Brendan Small, man. Like, and I'm really excited because Metalocalypse is coming out with a new movie this year. I'm really excited. We're finally getting the ending that we deserve, and they're gonna be releasing the complete series on DVD, which I'm gonna pre-order the fuck out of.
Yes. Oh, Love Metalocalypse. Yeah, hell yeah. So, the next thing you hit us with just last week, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It's been getting around, getting a lot of great attention. Did anybody by chance already hit you up from Adult Swim? Had they got their hands on it?
Yeah, that's a story. So I gotta y'all better buckle up for this, man, because this is pretty good. Okay.
Okay.
So I got into a little bit of trouble recently.
All right.
Not legal trouble by any means. So for those of y'all that are unaware, this project is from my heart. I'm doing this because I love these shows. I want to introduce more people to these really, really amazing shows. Hell, I even have people telling me that they're watching Aqua Teen for the first time because of this song, which is unreal. But that being said, this is in no way, shape, or form affiliated with Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, nothing like that. It's strictly just a fan project, and it's all legitimate. The reason why you hear it on Caroline knows, the reason why you hear it on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff is because I paid for a cover song license. So on DistroKid, you're able to upload cover songs as well. You just have to pay a $12 cover song license, and it's like $1 a month or whatever, but you have to pay it up front. So every year it's going to renew, and that makes sure that your song stays up there, and that way the original artists will get some type of royalties as well. And DistroKid takes care of all that stuff because those guys are kind of the middleman between you and the streaming services.
Right.
And I have the PDF and everything, so it's like a legal document. Like it's crazy. So I'm legally allowed to record and distribute the song. Okay. So the story with this is Aqua Teen is coming out with some new episodes. They got renewed for season 12.
Yeah.
They're going to be coming out either next year or maybe even later on this year, and they got renewed for 5 new episodes. So my goal was for somebody at the network to see it, introduce it to Dave Willis and Matt Malero, the creators of Aqua Teen, and hopefully they like it enough to put it in the show, whether it be like in a commercial, a bumper, the credits, what have you, or they could just have Master Shake, Frylock, and Meatwad roasting the crap out of it. Like I didn't care. Cool. I just wanted something to happen with this track because in my personal opinion, it's really good. I'm super proud of it. Yeah. It's easily one of the best things that I've done. Composition wise, vocal wise, everything. And it's too good for it to be swept under the rug. So what I did was I hit up about 10 different people or so that either work on Adult Swim, work on Aqua Teen, or they're affiliated with the network some way, shape, or form. One individual out of all of those 10 got back to me. For legal reasons, I can't reveal this individual's identity because, like I said, I kind of got into some trouble recently. I'll explain that in a little bit. Just bear with me. One individual got back with me, and they said, and I quote, people that work at Adult Swim and Cartoon Network legally cannot view or listen to anything that's unsolicited. So sorry. That was it. So I was like, okay, well, thank you for your time. At least I tried. Yeah. And I was a little salty about it. I'm not gonna lie. It was a bit of a kick in the gut, kick in the nuts, if you will. So maybe like a day later or so, I put out this 2-minute long video. It was on my TikTok briefly, and I think it was on my Instagram too. And I was doing like a call to action type of thing. So I had the DM in the background with the green screen filter on TikTok, but I blocked out this person's profile picture. I blocked out their name. I blocked out everything related to them, so that way no one knows who this individual is. Yeah. And it just had the DM there. I put the video out, and I was telling everybody, keep tagging Adult Swim, keep tagging Adult Swim. I want them to see it, stick it to the man, whatever. Sure. And then a couple days later, I get a message on Instagram, and they tell me it's the same person, and they tell me, not cool, man. They'll tell you the same thing. that's all it said. And I was like, well,
oh shit.
Yeah. And I was like, well, what do they mean by this? Cause it was just completely out of left field. And I didn't think about it. So I just replied back saying, well, I appreciate your honesty. It is what it is. And they replied back saying, I don't appreciate you posting the DM. So I was like, oh yeah. So I was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the L on this one. But I had messaged him and I was like, hey, look, I just want to let you know, be mindful that your name, your profile picture, everything was blocked. Everything was marked off in red marker. That way nobody knows who you are. But I know what you want me to do. I'll take the video down. I do not mean any ill intent whatsoever.
Cool.
So I decided to be a man about it. I took the video down, everything. I messaged that individual back. I was like, hey, video's gone. Hope there's no hard feelings. Didn't mean any ill intent. And they replied back with, thank you. I appreciate that. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I had responded back to them and I said, hey man, or whatever, like if you, I respect you a lot. I love your work. Sorry this happened, but if you're willing to work with me in the future on any projects or whatever that you may have, I'm totally available and I'm ready. Just let me know. And they left me on red. So, it is what it is. So long story short, Adult Swim is aware of it. They know about it, or at least one person knows about it, but they're not going to give it the time of day. Okay. I'm still hoping and praying that there's one rebel at the network that does listen to it casually, because it
only takes one person to turn it around. And then else can kind of get on the bandwagon if it's the right person.
And I was kind of taken aback by it because just the way that they came off, like legally we can't listen to this. And when they responded back to me, they were like, they'll tell you the same thing. So basically telling me that my efforts were futile or what have you. Right. Yeah. And ironically, shout out to one of my followers who's also one of my friends now. Her name is Layton. She's from West Virginia and she does drum covers under the name Groovy Ghost Notes. So she's a very, very talented drummer. And she does like YouTube videos and stuff too. So really, really cool chick. She was on MTV, Stan versus Stan. She's a huge 21 Pilots fan and she like aced their trivia game. So yeah, she's cool. And she actually found this. I don't remember if she found it I think she found it on the Adult Swim website. And it's this big old legal document. I'm not going to read the whole thing on camera, but it says Adult Swim does not accept or consider unsolicited submissions of any kind. And it goes into detail like no scripts, formats, audio recordings, what have you. Basically saying like, if you got ideas, we don't want to hear it. Pretty much.
It kind of reminds me of what I see at the beginning of ridiculousness. Don't send us anything. We're not going to watch it. It's kind of one of those kind of ideas in a way.
Yeah. And I guess it's the same way. But the thing is the loophole is that was found under like submitting a pilot, like submitting a pitch for a show. Yeah. Nothing about fan material. And it's kind of ironic that they're telling me, oh, we can't watch this. We can't listen to this when the Adult Swim website, like the Adult Swim socials, they post fan art every Friday. They do fan art Friday.
That's so like right there.
Yeah. So I'm like, what's going on here?
Collective, prosecution right there.
Yeah.
But Daniel, listen to that track. Can you put that Aqua Teen Hunger Force track on so we can give it a jam? Let's see. I'm hoping Dan's still right there. I know he might have stepped away. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Let's let it roll for a minute. Check it out.
There you go.
I'm gonna give my grandson a kiss real quick. Let it roll.
All kids out of the pool.
Can we get some metal horns in the chat for those of y'all that are here?
My name is Shake Sula, the mic ruler, the old schooler. You want a trip? I'll bring it to ya. Fry lock and I'm on top, rock you like a cop. Meet what you're up next with your knock knock. Meet what? Make the money. See? Eat what? Get the honeys. G. Driving in my car, living like a star. Ice on my fingers, on my toes, and I'm a Taurus. Check it.
Hell yeah, Jason.
Check it. Cause we are the Aqua Teens. Make a homie say ho and the girlies wanna scream.
Shout out de la Tierra Tendita, man. Go shop over there, Alice, Texas. Shout out to Caroline, man. We're at the breakdown already.
Yeah.
Cause we are the Aqua Teens.
You on bass?
Cause we are the Aqua Teens.
That you on the bass?
Cause we are the
Yeah, that's me on bass too.
Yeah.
Yeah, guitar, bass, and vocals. Gosme Williams of Texas Devil and Static Effect is on drums. Nick Montoya over there at Omega Records in Kingsville, Texas is the entire production side of it, recording, mixing, mastering. And obviously we got Caroline Hughes, aka Aesthetic Hatter, with the album artwork. So there's a lot of extra hands that came in during the making and the production of this track.
Very cool people that you got surrounding you, man, and a lot of great artists. And it takes a village to make this thing happen sometimes,
Oh yeah,
it's well worth it. The product was a winner. And that's what I love about it. So we're running good, man. I'll tell you, we're already hitting an hour. I got a couple of things I want to hit before I hit something that I like to finish off with all my interviewees, and it's a little segment I call Draw the Line. But before we get to that, I'm not new to I'm very new to the TikTok world. So how long have you been doing the TikToking?
That's a good question. I think I might have started in late 2019 or so, or maybe even early 2019. So it's been a minute. It was before the pandemic for sure. But the funny thing about it is I actually didn't want to do TikTok. My wife, who was my fiance at the time, my girlfriend at the time, she was the one that was like, dude, you're charismatic, you're entertaining, you're funny. Like, you could do really good on this platform. And I'm like, yeah, is that the platform where people just lip sync and dance and twerk? Like, what am I going to contribute to this freaking app?
What you mean? You're right.
Yeah. So that's what I thought that it was. But then like I went on there and I was kind of doing this stuff already. I was doing it either on YouTube or on Snapchat. I was making like little like skit videos, little jokes. Like I would be like what do a deathcore guitarist and Ed Sheeran have in common? They don't go past the third fret, like, stuff like that. She was the one that like really encouraged me to try the app out. And I was like, okay. So the first video that I put out, I think I was at Hobby Lobby, or no, not Hobby Lobby. It was Big Lot, one of those places. And they had Twinkie flavored coffee for some reason. And I'm like, yo, this is weird. And then I just toss it into my cart and walk off, and that was the video. I think I got like 40,000 views and I got like 300 followers, like, or 400 followers that first video. So I was like, okay, I guess maybe there is a market for weird stuff like this. Yeah,
it is.
And then I started doing like the music stuff and everything. And my first viral video actually had nothing to do with music. It was ironically me dropping a candle at Ollie's bargain store. That damn thing got 6 million views.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It just blew up overnight. People were really eating it up. I was like, okay, cool, I guess. And that's where majority of my following came from was that particular video. But then I just started doing like my own thing. I'm very passionate about music. I like talking about my favorite bands. I like shouting out other bands. I know my boy Eddie from Zombie King was in the chat earlier. Like I like to shout out local bands in my area. I have a playlist called I think it's called Yo Homies. And it actually has music from all my friends that are in the music scene, whether I met them on TikTok or real life. I got to update it because I got to update it because a lot of people have released music that are homies of mine. Like Throat Locust is one of them. My cousin Rob is the drummer.
I didn't know for cousins, man. I love Rob. Rob's
well, we haven't actually proven that we're cousins yet, but like we just kind of know, like we just kind of feel it because
we gotta be.
Because both of our last names are Cantù, and you know, like we're both metalheads, and we're both very passionate about the scene that we're in, and I think we might be related somewhere down the line. Like he's from Fremont, I'm from San Diego, so like you know, all these small towns, we're all related somehow. We just haven't fully connected the dots yet, but the evidence is there. So we're just kind of convinced, like, we're related. So we're just going to tell everybody that we're cousins and just hope for the best. But he's my cousin. And I really like what he's doing in Throat Locust, man. Like those guys are
I noticed that's a lot of what you've been putting out there is bringing a lot of exposure to your favorite bands. And that's fun to do. And, you know, and it's fulfilling. We want to bring that attention to these guys. They're kicking ass. They're our bros. Any way we can to help bring them up, man. Like we want to give them any kind of spotlight and more recognition.
Yeah, and I've even had bands like from San Antonio and like all over the nation, all over the state, hitting me up asking like, hey, like how much do you charge for a shout out and this, that, and the other, and I'm like,
holy shit.
I'm like, I don't charge a fucking thing, but maybe I have to, but maybe I need to start. But a lot of people have been hitting me up because I got 30,000 followers right now, which is pretty huge for doing what I'm doing. And I think I have about like 6 or 7 videos that have hit at least 1 million views or more. I have 2 corn videos that I did. They were fun fact videos, like trivia videos. Yeah. And they were like, one of them got like 2 million views and the other one got 3 million. And there's a Metallica one that's sitting at, I think, 800,000. And there's another video, I forget which one, but I think that one's like at 900,000 right now, almost 1 million.
Awesome work, man. Hell yeah. What's your favorite video TikTok to do?
I really like the fact videos. Because like it's a little more one-on-one, you know what I mean? Like I'm able to be a nerd and talk about some of my favorite stuff. Like I've done videos on Korn, Slipknot, Metallica, you know, pretty much like whatever band that I know a lot of lore about. I try to make videos on it, even if it's something that's like relatively well known. Like my next video is probably going to be on the song Spit It Out by Slipknot, because I'm pretty sure you know the version that you hear on the album. It's actually the demo, because that's actually the demo, because during the recording process, Ross had said that the band had a lot of difficulty trying to capture the intensity of the original demo. So they just left it on there. Hey, my dad is in the chat. Love you, Dad.
How awesome, man. Hey, all right.
Yeah, that's my dad, Eddie Cantù, man. I wouldn't be here without him.
You did good, Dad. Good job.
And what was I saying? So that's actually the demo on that album, and they had a lot of difficulty trying to capture that intensity. So Ross said, "Screw it, we're just gonna put the demo on this album. We'll mix and master it." Yeah. And on the deluxe edition, there's 2 mixes, like 2 remixes. I forgot what they were called, but those were supposed to be the studio versions, and the mixes are great, but you could tell that there's a little bit of, they could have done a little more energy. So that you could see why they did the demo instead.
Good choice, Ross, and bringing that to the table, because that's one thing that Slipknot is infamous for, is the energy, the ruthlessness, the brutality. And that I'm going to say it real quick. That Adderall that they just dropped the other day, took me like a curveball, because it kind of reminded me of what they did like in earlier tracks, like Vermilion.
Like the slower stuff. Yeah.
And I can appreciate it, man, because I love the artistic creativity that the guys just keep on pushing the envelope in Slipknot and not being predictable. But me being an aggressive, mosh pit kind of guy,
Yeah, same.
That give me a sick, give me another fucking give me another one of your fucking banging hits, dude.
Yeah, I know. Give me another heretic anthem, like something.
Yeah, man, they're awesome. So, who do you like to follow on TikTok? Is there somebody else that maybe inspired you and that you kind of like, hey, I'm getting some ideas, or somebody that like in podcasting, it's like Joe Rogan and Jamie Josta's show.
Oh, yeah. So for me, there's not really like a famous TikToker, I guess, that I could say that I take inspiration from. But there's a few YouTubers actually that do inspire me. One of them is actually a gentleman by the name of Finn McKenty. He has this
what's it called?
The Punk Rock MBA.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
And he does me and him kind of do like similar content. Like he does a lot of deep dives on bands. Like he'll talk about the rise and fall of nu metal, but he worked for Abercrombie as like a business and marketing guy. So he talks about the alternative scene because that's what he's passionate about, just like us. But he speaks on his videos from a business and marketing standpoint. And so I take a lot of inspiration from him because I really love his videos. I love how they're edited. I love how he sounds. He definitely does have like a radio voice kind of. And his content is entertaining and it's engaging. I could watch it all the time. Another one is Anthony Fantano. He goes by The Needle Drop on YouTube. He does a lot of album reviews, and recently he reviewed Sleep Token, the latest record, and he gave it a 2. And everybody was in a huge uproar with him. Because the album is great. Like I love Sleep Token. They were one of the inspirations behind the Aqua Teen cover. Fantano does have like some really strong opinions. Sometimes he has some polarizing ones, but he's a critic. He's gonna get that. There are some reviews that I agree with, and there are some that I obviously don't agree with. Like he reviewed the new Avenged Sevenfold album and he gave it a not good, which was pretty much like less than a 0. The reason why he gives stuff a not good is because he has like low expectations to begin with. So for example, he gave, I think it was Chance the Rapper's The Big Day. He gave it a 0, a goose egg, a big fat goose egg. And everybody was like, well, what's the difference between a 0 and a not good? Not good is when you have like low expectations and it either meets those low expectations or somehow it was just even lower. A 0 is you had some type of like hype toward it and it just completely missed the mark. And I jammed that Avenged Sevenfold record because it was like very polarizing. So I was like, okay, I might as well just check this out. And dude, it was a chore to listen to. Like I took notes, like I took notes on my phone because I didn't want to because I plan on doing my own review on it eventually too. But that album was not good. I mean, I get why people enjoy it. It's pretty much Avenged Sevenfold's attempt at trying to do like what Dream Theater does. But in my opinion, it just wasn't there. I didn't enjoy it. It was a chore to listen to. I only got through it once, and I do not plan on listening to it again because I think one time is enough.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
brutal, man.
Yeah, but that being said, I do love Avenged Sevenfold. Like the self-titled record, the White Album, jammed that all throughout high school. City of Evil, classic. Waking the Fallen, like really classic records. And I know a lot of people seem to hate this record, but I love Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. I really love that first record. I love how raw and dirty it sounds. And it sounds like a straight up like hardcore punk album, which is probably why I love it so much. But a lot of people are like, I don't vibe with that first record. And I'm like, dude, are we listening to the same album? Like it's good. Like,
I appreciate their underground, beginning right there on that first album, and how they just became, masters at the guitar and drums and bass.
Dude.
It's like watching them is like a master class on any one of those instruments, because they just go to town. They're just
like Sinister Gates, man. Like he could shred, and the Rev, like Jimmy the Rev Sullivan, rest in peace, man. Yes. Like the double right hits on on what was that song? Was it I think it was Afterlife. Man, that was I love that track so much, man. A lot of talented musicians through and through. But this record just wasn't for me. I could easily see this being their Turbo or their Saint Anger. Yeah. I'll be the first to admit, though, I actually really love Saint Anger. That damn record, it hits different when you're pissed off.
It does. What I appreciated about Saint Anger was when I bought the CD, it came with them playing it live in their own rehearsal studio.
Yeah.
That sounded good.
That sounded good, yeah.
Sounded good. So I could appreciate every song played like they're just in a rehearsal room, just fucking playing like that, versus how Bob Rock ended up putting the finished product out.
Yeah, the mix is god awful. But my cousin Rob, we were actually talking about this the other day, and love the snare or hate it, but it's actually no other snare.
Let's hear it.
Has no other snare in metal is this talked about.
Right.
Like
you're right.
This is it's the most infamous snare sound ever.
For better, for worse. And
tinnitus in a can. God, it's so bad.
It's so
See, like, this part sounds cool.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And hey, you know what? Technically, they did the whole prison riot thing before Slayer did with Repentless.
Hey, that was coming out hard. That was the thing that the whole project did, was come in and bringing out the first single and recording it where I think it's San Quentin. And that's hard. That's freaking hard. And you can see the reaction from the inmates, like, getting fired. They're getting, and then there's some that are like, what the fuck is this metal?
Yeah, they're like, very polarizing record, man.
Yes.
It took me a while to appreciate it, though. I will admit that. Because like I said, I jammed it when I was really steamed one day. Like I had a really bad day at work, and I was like, I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to jam Saint Anger today, because why not? I'm pissed. And I jammed the whole thing, and I had to take a few Advils after that, but but it made me appreciate it a little bit more. And like Invisible Kid, I think was played on a baritone, and it's tuned to drop G sharp, if I remember correctly.
That's one that Kirk Hammett wrote. Yeah, right there. So it's very interesting, that album.
Yeah. Shit. But they came back with Death Magnetic, so I was like, hey, perfect.
They're back, exactly. Hell yeah. Well, you got super big, impressive numbers for TikTok for the short amount of time you've been on there. I'm glad you're out there. You're definitely, like your wife said, you're an entertainer, and you got a good voice. You sound good to listen to. So I wish you best of luck on that, and let's triple up those numbers and get it to 100. You know what I mean? Let's get it up there. And the best way is putting you out there, doing you and all the content that you love. It's worked this far. Mm-hmm. Fucking keep up the grind, man. That's fucking badass. I'm so proud of you. That's awesome.
Thank you, dude. That means so much coming from you, bro. Like, you have no idea. Because I look up to you. I look up to Marcus. I look up to like a lot of people in the Corpus scene. And I had told I was actually talking to Henry over there at the El Nino show. And I was talking to Henry at the El Nino show, and I told him, I was like, yo, dude, like, I cannot thank y'all enough for writing Evolution of Anger when y'all did, because that record got me through a really terrible time in my life, man. and like the Shattered Sun guys, like I started off as just a normal fan, you know, and
Yeah.
they kept on inviting me backstage, and eventually Marcus became one of my homies, and I hit
Uh-huh.
him up every now and then, like for advice and stuff. And because when I was really starting to pop on TikTok, I was getting a lot of love, but I was starting to get a lot of hate too, because you know the popularity, once you get up to a certain number, that's when all the trolls start coming in. And I know he got hazed bad when he first joined El Nino. Like I know a lot of comments were like just mad dogging the poor guy.
Yeah.
And
He should.
and I and I had hit him up, and I was like, yo, dude, like, you know, the same stuff that happened to you, it's kind of happening to me. Like, how did you manage? Like, what did you do with this? And I believe he told me that he spoke to Chuck Billy about it. He might have spoke to Johnny Z too. And they had said, you know, does Paul Stanley give a shit about what people are saying about him on the internet? Does Ozzy Osbourne give a shit? Does Corey Taylor give a shit? You know, he's like, so think about it like that. And I was like, you know, yeah, you're right. Like, you know, Jonathan Davis, my biggest role model. Like, does that motherfucker care about what people are saying about him? Hell no. Like, Jonathan Davis don't care. Ozzy don't care. Like Ace Frehley definitely don't care. You know what I mean? So, so I just went with it. And, you know, like I kind of held myself back because I used to clap back in the comment section a lot. And, you know, sometimes I still do, like, if I feel like it's justifiable, sometimes I do it just to be funny. But yeah, like I've noticed that they always like to mad dog the appearance. Like they'll talk crap about my teeth. They'll talk crap about my fingernails being painted black. Like they always go for the appearance, but they never go after the content itself. So I think that speaks for itself. Like they never talk crap about the music. They never talk crap about the content. And like I'm here to stay, man. Like I want to get out there. I want to start like another band or whatever in the future. Want to put out more music. Want to put out more videos. Like I just want to. This is what I love to do, man. Like healthcare just pays the bills at the end of the day. I'm a musician through and through. You know, eventually, like I want to try to get into like radio or something, you know, and do some
on Sirius XM.
Oh, dude, that would be the dream, man. Like chilling with my boy Howard Stern, you know, like.
Yeah, give me a channel, right, man? And I hope hit that channel, dude. I hope all your dreams come true, and just keep up the hard work. You can't see it right now where you're going to be in 10 years, but one thing's for sure, if you keep working your ass off, there's riches ahead of you. The reward is going to be there for you at the end of the tunnel. So
yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like everybody that I've talked to, like ever since I was a kid, like they've all told me the same thing. They're like, you're going to either be in radio, you're going to be touring, or you're going to be like doing voice acting for an Adult Swim show or something. Like you're going to be doing something in entertainment. We don't know what it is, but you're going to be doing something.
Yeah.
And I've always been like that. I've been chasing that high ever since, you know.
Hell yeah.
And I ain't stopping anytime soon. Like this is just the beginning. Eventually I plan on whipping out some merch. I plan on getting like t-shirts made and stuff like that. And I'm actually in the process of teaming up with my wife's aunt's little store, their general store that they have right now. It's in Alice, Texas. It's De La Tierra Tiendita. They import a lot of goods from Laredo. So you'll find like quinceañera dresses. You'll find little like saint statues, prayer candles. There's also band stickers too that are like really cheap. So Metallica, Dire Straits, like you name it, they have it. Cool. And it's a really good store. They sell Ralph's seasonings there. Really great stuff. Goes great on barbecue. And I'm in the process of teaming up with them because back in Halloween, I dressed up as Nacho Libre, and my wife dressed up as Encarnacion, the nun in the movie. And I took a picture of myself in like the nun headdress, and I ended up taking a picture of it, and I was like, dude, we got to make a prayer candle. And we actually have the graphic, like we got the graphic made. And I had asked my followers on TikTok, like, hey, would y'all be down to get like a San Mateo prayer candle like as a joke.
Right.
And dude, people want it. Like people actually want it. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some prototypes. We're gonna try to sell them at De La Tierra Tendita in the future and see how they do. And then maybe I could put them online because I know for a fact I have a couple people in the UK that want them. So that's wild. Yeah.
Love the merch and the marketing ideas. Let them roll. Let them roll. You do have a market for them. So you make it, they'll buy it. Hell yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I want to get to my segment called Draw the Line, where I want to pick your brain a little bit and find out what your favorite is out of a couple of tough choices, should I say.
Oh, shit. All right, here we go.
Actually, animation-wise as well. So let me get started with the first one. We hadn't mentioned these two characters, but we definitely mentioned Metalocalypse. So this one, I'm putting Metalocalypse versus Rick and Morty, another big, huge animated show that heads like to watch. You know what I mean? Heads like to watch it, whether it's a metalhead or not. Both of those shows. Which one's your favorite?
Oh, Metalocalypse for sure, man. Like, my wife is probably like yelling across the room because she loves Rick and Morty. But dude, nah, man, like Metalocalypse all the way, bro. Like the writing, the characters. I'm a metalhead. Obviously, I'm gonna choose it. And like the albums are so good. The Death albums 1, 2, and 3. Like I have a buddy of mine. His name's Alex Salinas. He's from Alice. He got into metal because of Metalocalypse. So if that doesn't tell you a lot, I don't know what does. George Corpse Grinder Fisher voices a character on the show. James Hetfield voiced a monster on the show. Kirk Hammett is involved with a new movie. Like, bro, come on. Like, if Dime was still alive, he'd be on the show too. Come on, man.
He'd be doing solos on it. Exactly, right?
Fucking Pantera was on SpongeBob, bro. Like, they were on SpongeBob.
That's so kick-ass.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Let me hit my second one.
Do it.
Two also favorite animated shows that I've grown up watching: South Park versus The Simpsons.
Damn. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Shit. I thought. Damn, the first one was easy, and now you threw a curveball.
These two are they're monsters in the animation world.
All right, let me say this. In terms of myself, right? Like if we're just speaking like just me, right?
Yeah.
Like my opinion, my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I would probably have to say The Simpsons only because Marcus, hey.
Bro, surprise guest, right?
Hey, I love you, homie. Keep kicking ass.
Release, brother. Yay.
Yeah.
We love you, Marcus. Thanks for tuning in tonight, man.
Keep kicking ass in El Nino, and thank you so much for those Shattered Sun records, man. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those 3 albums, dude.
Yes.
And going back to what I was saying, yeah, I'm picking The Simpsons only because The Simpsons has been around since 1989. Yeah. South Park did a whole episode on it. The Simpsons did everything already at this point. Because to me, The Simpsons is kind of like the Black Sabbath of animation. Does that make sense? Because like Sabbath did everything. Like, okay, you guys cover Symptom of the Universe, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you feel free to agree to disagree, but is it not the first thrash metal song ever written? I feel like it could be the first thrash metal song.
It's definitely got the tempo.
Yeah.
The tempo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, because you got that overkill from Motorhead, and I just think that double bass
yeah, that's true.
Man,
that's very true.
It's arguably up there.
Yeah. But I think in terms of what they refer to as like proto thrash, I definitely think that Symptom of the Universe is that like to an extent. Like it's not quite there, but you know what I mean? Yeah. And The Simpsons has done stuff like that. Like The Simpsons is always like going into the media like, oh, they predicted this and this, that, and the other, but they've been around for a long time. Now
the movie?
Yeah, the movie too.
Yeah.
But now I will say that for me personally, and I think most people will agree too, the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons are the golden years.
Yeah.
And it just starts falling off a little bit after that. South Park has stayed consistent. So in terms of consistency, current events, writing, all that stuff, like modern South Park definitely kicks the crap out of The Simpsons. But I personally dig The Simpsons because that was my introduction into adult animation. So there's definitely some nostalgia there, but those first 10 seasons are goated. But that's not to take away from South Park, because I love both shows equally. But if I had to pick one, I'd have to choose The Simpsons, man.
I wanted to make that a tough question for you.
I got a Bart tattoo right there. Like, come on.
Badass. Living it. That's right. Hell yeah. Okay. Well, here's even a tougher one, I think. But I think, I was going through your TikToks earlier, and I think one couldn't exist without the other. So, but I got to put this out there because I loved watching Cartoon Network at night before it went to Adult Swim with Space Goes Coast to Coast.
Yes.
Comedy, man. I love Space.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the dialogue, it always cracked me up. It was always
Mantis.
it was adult oriented, and I loved it. So Space Goes Coast to Coast versus Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Fuck. Oh, man. God, you would.
What came first, the egg or the chicken, right? Shit. Goddamn.
Oh, shit. Okay.
But what do you, I mean, if what's your go-to? It's like, man, I'm ready to fucking crack up after it's been a great day. I'm going to put on my favorite. Is Space Ghost or is it Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's definitely Aqua Teen, because I've seen all 11 seasons, like, I don't know how many times. And it's both shows kind of have the same premise going on, because Aqua Teen wouldn't exist without Coast to Coast, because that's where they were created.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Like they
on his show, like a Johnny Carson show.
Yeah. And the only reason why because what happened was that Dave and Matt, they were working on Coast to Coast, and they created Master Shake, Frylock, the characters, but they scrapped that episode because that particular episode focused too heavily on the Aqua Teens. But they still ended up like keeping the episode. But when Aqua Teen was going into its second season, that's when they aired the Baffler Meal episode of Coast to Coast. Now, but Coast to Coast, like, in terms of which is the better show, it's obviously Coast to Coast, because they did everything. Like Adult Swim, modern Cartoon Network would not exist without Coast to Coast.
Agreed.
Because pretty much everybody that has had properties on Adult Swim started off on Coast to Coast.
Yeah.
Like Aqua Teen was born from Coast to Coast. Like, people think that it's a spinoff of Coast to Coast. It's not technically a spinoff, because it was more like a scrapped idea that became its own entity.
Yeah.
But I do watch Aqua Teen like more often than anything else. But in terms of like the better show, like the GOAT, in other words, like if Coast to Coast is a 10 out of 10, Aqua Teen is like a 9.5. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, I love Coast to Coast too, man. I mean, obviously, we got the homie Brack chilling back here somewhere.
Right.
And yeah, but like Abe said, Aqua Teen is the single for the reason. Like,
Absolutely. Hell yeah. Well done. Hell yes. Okay, let's go to the next one. Got new metal versus metalcore.
Damn. Okay. Shit. Damn. You really fucking did your research, man.
Yeah, I tried a little bit. I want to make it interesting for both of us, and not easy. Easy. Boom.
Yeah. No. There's definitely. So let me give you a little bit of my history with metalcore, right? So when I was in high school, like early 2010s, that's when what I call like the hot topic metalcore was coming out. We had bands like Asking Alexandria, Attack, We Came as Romans, like Moths to Flames, Suicide Silence, even though they were more deathcore.
Part of that push.
Yeah, and I jammed a lot of that stuff, but I loved it. I loved it so much. Bullet for My Valentine, Killswitch Engage, all that stuff. But my heart and soul is forever gonna be with nu metal, man. Like I could jam Suicide Silence all day, every day, but I always go back to Korn. So yeah, I gotta go with nu metal, man.
Killer. I like that. Let's go to, okay, I'm gonna give you some choices to make out here. So these aren't really in the nu metal categories, but they were huge bands right then in the 90s. And both have singers that aren't with us anymore. So who do you prefer when it comes to jamming to either Alice in Chains versus Soundgarden?
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a tough one. Damn, honestly, man, like Alice in Chains, dude. Like
Okay.
Alice in Chains all the way, because like Nutshell.
What a
like,
game changer that album
yeah,
was.
like Jar of Flies, dude, and the MTV Unplugged album. Like Lane just had this voice where, you know, he could be like wailing 1 second and then he could just like immediately take it back. And you know, like Wood, the song Wood is like easily one of my favorite songs from them. One of my favorite songs of all time.
For sure.
Yeah, and I've covered Nutshell like acoustically, like in front of friends and stuff before, and I love singing that song. And whenever I have like a really rough day, or if I'm in a rut or whatever, I'm gonna get a little personal for a quick second. Back in 2016, I was in an abusive relationship with this woman who shall remain nameless, obviously, but it was a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, etc. And I don't like talking about that stuff a lot, because people see like, oh, you're a dude, like that doesn't happen, you know, but it does.
Yeah.
But the thing that kept me going and the thing that kept my sanity was music, which is why I gravitate to Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory a lot, for example. That year, Korn dropped The Serenity of Suffering, and every single song was very reminiscent of what I was going through at the time. Same thing with Evolution of Anger from Shattered Sun. That's why that's my favorite Shattered Sun record, especially with the song Out for Justice. Like, they say it's me that's been chosen. Can they understand my misery? Like, I was feeling Marcus's lyrics. And I've talked to him about it like every now and then, and I'm like, dude, like I seriously cannot thank you enough for that fucking record, man. And for me, Nutshell by Alice in Chains was one of those songs that I really started listening to hard around that time. And thankfully I could say, I've bounced back from it. There's still some PTSD lingering, I'm not gonna lie, but in terms of like mental health, my sanity, like I'm at an all-time high right now, man. It's cool.
Thank goodness you got a good loved woman right there, you know, a good partner, you know, to keep it right, you know, because I feel like, you know, if I didn't have, I've been blessed to be married to my wife Lori Gomez for going on 32 years. And it's nothing but a blessing. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and because of her love, I'm able to do everything I want to do, and to the extent you know, because when you have somebody behind you that believes in you and that supports you and encourages you to do things that you were kind of hesitant to do, and kind of just tells you, pushes you off the cliff and says, do it. And if it's not like those, for the ones that love us and believe in us, you know, who knows where we'd be. So thank goodness they're there, you know, give us all.
And I love Claire to death, man. Like we just got married in April, but she's easily my biggest fan, dude. Like she's always hyping me up, and she's always like, I'll be like writing riffs and stuff in front of her, and she's like, that sounds good. You need to fucking record that. And you know, this, that, and the other. And she doesn't go to a lot of shows with me because she has a little bit of like social anxiety. So crowds aren't really like her thing. I'm the extroverted one. She's the introvert, but she's always cheering me on from the sidelines, dude. Like she's one of my biggest supporters, if not my biggest supporter of all time. And I'm really grateful for that woman, man. I love her to death.
You're blessed, man. Okay, let's do my next one. Okay, I got two more left. Okay, this one right here, Slipknot versus Metallica.
Damn it.
Right? Big names, big
Yeah.
bands. The two biggest metal bands in the world, arguably.
Yeah. So, I was talking to my buddy Rob McQueen about this. Him and I used to work dialysis together, and he's a huge metalhead also. And he likes the old school stuff. He loves Judas Priest. He loves Ozzy. Yeah. He loves all of the 80s shred. You know what I mean? And I was telling, and we were talking about this, and we were like, there's probably never going to be another Metallica, like in terms of like how big they are and how mainstream they are and how accessible the music is. Yeah. Like there's probably not going to be another Metallica. And I think before that, the only other band that probably would have fit that category was maybe Nirvana, because of how influential they were and how they spoke to that particular generation. Yes. And I was telling him, if there is another band that's going to take Metallica's crown per se, it's going to be Slipknot, because I feel like Slipknot, with the way that their music is evolving and the most recent releases that they've been doing, I really think that they could be on the same pedestal as Metallica. Yeah. But I think for me personally, I mean, I'm a new metal guy, I'm an extreme metal guy, but like fucking Metallica, bro. Like the first 4 albums, like easily one of my favorite records of all time. Like, dude, Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, like right back to back. Like, and Master of Puppets to me is a 10 out of 10. Yeah. And I know there's some gatekeepers out there that are like, oh, people like these kids just discovered Metallica from Stranger Things. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. Like, I discovered all my favorite bands from the Tony Hawk games. Like, yeah. And then Justice.
On this shit. Damn.
Yeah. And even Justice, like, even though it had terrible productions, a solid political album. And, the Black Album is still moving numbers to this day. We could talk crap about everything else that came out afterwards, but those first 4 records, man, those are classics. And that's not to downplay Slipknot either. I mean, I love the first 2 records like wholeheartedly. Like Iowa is my favorite. Yeah, Iowa is my favorite Slipknot record, and I know Rob Garza and Michael Leal, Marcus's brother, they've gotten into like heated arguments about which album is better, the debut or Iowa. Like they fought tooth and nail on that thing. But like in terms of me, I love Slipknot, I always will, but like there's no doubt about it, man. Like Metallica is just untouchable, in my opinion.
Respect. I love it. Papa Head, Kurt, Lars, and
I actually met Kirk Hammett, believe it or not.
Yeah, Kurt's the one. Kurt's responsible for a lot of all that coming together, because he was like the catalyst that kept the thrash scene going right there in the Bay Area. He knew everybody, and he was partying with everybody. He showed Gary Hunt from Exodus how to play guitar, how to pick. He would just have connection that was just, that fireball of metal.
And he founded Exodus and gave it its name before he quit to join Metallica.
Yes, he left one of the best fucking thrash metal bands to join the greatest thrash metal band. Yeah. And more power to him, and thank God for that happening. And that makes me think about another show I'd want to do, but the content's going to be like a what if series. And when it comes to Metallica, the what if question would have been, what if we lost Lars instead of Cliff Burton?
Oh, damn.
And so the questions can keep going, but that's going to be for another episode, and something to think about, right?
Hell yeah.
So let's get to the last one right here. Lamb of God versus Kill Switch Engage.
Damn.
A little easier for you, I think, now after our conversation. I think I might know where you're going to go, but share your thoughts on these two.
Yeah. So, Kill Switch is obviously a band that's near and dear to my heart. Like when y'all did End of Heartache at that show, I was like, I was like singing along to every word. And I've actually wanted to cover that song acoustically for the longest time. So I might do that in the future. And I think to get in touch with my Hispanic roots, I might sing the chorus in Spanish if it comes down to that. I think that'd be kind of rad. But like, yeah, but Lamb of God, man, like it laid to rest, you know what I mean? And the funny thing about this is the reason why I'm friends with Travie McCoy now from Gym Class Heroes is because of Lamb of God. I did a video about them because Gym Class covered Laid to Rest at the 2008 Warped Tour, and Travie, and Travie's actually like screaming and everything, and everybody was like, "Oh damn, like where did this come from?" And he was doing that, and it sounded great. And I did a video talking about it, and he saw it. I tagged him in it, and he put it on his story on Instagram. He followed me back, and that was huge for me because, Gym Class is another band that I grew up idolizing over the years because they had a really cool hip hop / reggae / funk kind of sound going on. And they were also part of like the emo Warped Tour scene. And Travie was huge at the time. Like he had that song Billionaire with Bruno Mars. And then that song Cupid's Chokehold that samples Supertramp. Take a look at my girlfriend. Yeah,
I love
like,
this.
He had he had a lot of hits, and I hit him up in the DMs, and I was like, "Yo, dude, if you need anything, man, like just let me know." And he hit me up back, and he was like, "Dude, if you could review my latest record, I would be greatly appreciative." And I was like, "Hell yeah, man, anything for you." And yeah, now we're homies. Yeah, he texts me and everything, and he's actually like he's a huge music nerd, like probably even bigger than us. And because he's from New York, so he grew up in the New York hardcore scene. Wow. And I think he was actually the front man for a hardcore band at one point. And the minute they would be done with their set, he would go to the back and just start freestyle rapping, just because that's the kind of guy that he was. And he said that he got into like a bit of problems at the time also because he was a person of color in the scene, which at the time was kind of like it wasn't as common as it is now.
Sure.
And he said that he came to school one time with a Pantera shirt, and it was Far Beyond Driven, but the original album cover
with the drill.
With the drill. He had that shirt, and like obviously he got in trouble with the teachers and whatnot, but like some of the kids that he went to school with, they were like, do you really listen to that stuff? Like this, that, and the other. But like, no, he's a super, super chill dude. And cool. Gym Class did a lot of covers. Like they did Lamb of God. They covered Tenacious D. They covered Guttermouth. And he freaking went to an Earth Crisis show, and he was like FaceTiming with the band. And I was like, what? Like, so Lamb of God.
We're seeing with Earth Crisis. Wow, that's badass.
Yeah, and Travie actually did guest vocals on a track called "Back in the Day" by Scarhead. They're another New York hardcore band, and he's rapping on the song on a hardcore punk song, and it sounds cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, I got to go with my homies in Lamb of God for sure, just because like the riffs, man, and the fact that majority of their catalog is in drop D. And it sounds heavy as fuck. And to put it into retrospect for like the guitar players that are like, or the non-guitar players that are in the audience. So Lamb of God pretty much plays their guitars in standard, and the music is like really heavy. It's drop D, and Paramore, which is a band that is not heavy in this aspect, they tune to drop C sharp. They tune lower than Lamb of God.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. Like, Paramore songs are in drop C sharp, and Lamb of God plays in drop D. So that should just prove that, tuning doesn't necessarily make you heavy. The riff is what makes you heavy.
Yeah, the feel, right, that groove. That's right. Very good point. That's a great way of putting it right there, because Paramore there's nothing heavy about Paramore, but they're great songs. They're great songs. They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
but
I love Paramore, man.
When you think about that, it's like, oh yeah, I love them too. They got some great hits. She's got a great voice. I love the singer for that. But I had no idea they tuned that low. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was learning Misery Business, because obviously I'm a guitar player. I do guitar covers and whatnot. And yeah, like Misery Business, that whole album, Riot, pretty much majority of it's in drop C sharp. And cool. Like A Day to Remember, also they tuned to drop B, same tuning as Slipknot.
Yeah.
And that's because A Day to Remember does have some heavy metalcore stuff, but they also have the pop punk side of them too, and it's pretty much in the same tuning. It's wild.
Yeah. Man, I've had a great time talking. That was my last question right there on Draw the Line. I hope you liked that segment right there, man.
Hell yeah, dude. That was you did pick my brain a little bit, man. That was those were hard, bro. Those were hard.
Man, I can't say I can't express what a good time I had talking about music and your past and where you've already taken your career so far. And I want to wish you the best of luck. Keep doing you, Matt, because what you're doing is unique towards everything else that's going out there. So I encourage you to be the master of your field and be the master of what you're doing, of everything you're getting into, man. I like how you and everything as a resource for yourself and as a tool to better your success. And your grind is something to be admired. So keep it up. Keep the music coming. Keep the TikTok rocking. I appreciate the support, man. Great. Thanks for seeing me at the show last time. And how can people keep up with you? Show us how. Give everybody where they can find you on your Instagram, on your YouTube channel. How can they find you?
Yeah, so I keep everything simple. If you want to add me as a friend on Facebook, it's just Matt Cantu. There's my TikTok page right there. Everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, everything TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, it's all the same username, which is Matt Cantu Music, all one word, 2 T's for my name, which is Matt. So MattCantu Music, all one word. And same thing with my YouTube channel as well. I mostly just repost my TikTok reels over there at this point, but eventually, once there's a little more demand, I'll start doing more long form content again. There's my Facebook page right there, and it's obvious I got to throw the Aqua Teens in there.
That's great art by Caroline right there. Hell yeah, right? Did she do that?
No, that one was actually a still from the show, but the album artwork for Aqua Teen was done by Caroline.
And they got the instruments in hand and everything. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, y'all could follow me over there, and I do 90% of my stuff DIY. It's literally all just me, except for this release that I'm putting out. Like I said, Caroline Hughes album art, Ghostman Williams. He's gonna be playing drums on all 5 tracks, and my boy Abe Montoya from Omega Records in Kingsville, Texas. He's the one producing, recording, mastering, mixing, all that stuff. So awesome. If you are a band that is out there and you really want to record your stuff in a professional setting, please hit up my boy Abe Montoya at Omega Records in Kingsville. Give him some support. I guarantee you he'll cut you a really good deal and y'all will sound badass.
Excellent. Man, guys, it's been a great time talking with Matt tonight. Matt, I appreciate it, man. I can't wait to see you again. Let's keep in touch. And when we get some new material getting ready to come out, like when that EP, let's get you back in here so we can talk about those songs and how everything kind of came together. Okay.
Hell yeah, man, for sure. We'll be doing some DIY behind the scenes type of deal. And I'm just throwing this out there. You know, if Fistful of Metal decides to do a Korn track, you better invite me on stage, because I can't not do a Korn song from the audience.
All right, dude. I'll talk to the guys. We'll see. I know there's a Korn track that's on there. It's not. I want to say it's the one. Want to hit, but it's not that one. It's another one that comes hard, dude.
Is it Right Now?
Give me right now. Yes.
Yeah.
You nailed it, bro. Right now.
There you go. I was like, I knew the from the Tomb Raider soundtrack, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that was in the Tomb Raider soundtrack. You open your mouth again. I swear I'm gonna break it.
Hey, let us learn it. You're gonna come jam it with me on stage. That'll be cool. All right.
Yeah, dude. I'm down.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I got to give a huge shout out to my man Daniel Adame, Daniel Adame Productions. I appreciate everything you do for me, man. Thanks for we took this show 2 hours tonight. Thanks so much for your support, Daniel. If you need anything as far as production with music, with videos, with pictures, please hit up Daniel Adame. All right, and you can catch him on Facebook at Daniel Adame. All right. So thanks a lot on behalf of me and Matt Cantu. Appreciate you checking out the Tony Gomez Show, and keep the grind out there, my friend. And we'll see you at the next show.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Later.